What's up, guys? All right, so we are going to be starting on AutoCAD this week. I've got AutoCAD 2021 going right now. If you could please use that so we don't get all kind of mixed up on our versions. So, just like a lot of the other programs, we have a start menu here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Start Drawing, and it's going to open up a new window here. So, rule number one of AutoCAD: anytime you start a new file, what you're going to do is just type units. So I'm going to type units, and it's going to show all the stuff around the mouse cursor. It's going to give me this option for units here, and if I hit enter or click on that, it's going to bring up this page right here. If I go to let's see, AutoCAD, drawing utilities, and it's that big AutoCAD button right there, drawing utilities, and then units is my option here. That might be off screen for you guys though. And that's going to bring up the same screen. Now, anytime you start a new AutoCAD file, you have to go to here first. And what you need to do is you are going to change the length here, or at least for our purposes, for what we're doing for this. You're going to want to change this to architectural. So we'll be using feet and inches for the scale instead of just decimal numbers. At some point you will have a problem, and it's probably going to be that your first time. Next thing, don't change this, but click on this direction button here, and you can see that it's got this control for setting up the angle. We'll discuss this a little bit, but keep this in mind that you can set the base angle. I'm going to keep mine at east. If you would like to change yours after this class, feel free to, or even after this project, however you prefer to do it. But I'm going to keep mine at east for what we're going to do here. So I'll just leave that as it is. Yeah, architectural precision, units. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. All right. So this is AutoCAD. I can roll the mouse wheel in and out to kind of zoom in and out. I can hold down on the middle mouse button and kind of pan it. I don't think you can. Maybe you can do a double click. Or, oh, I guess that just does zoom extends. But yeah, so pretty much just mouse pan and zoom are going to be kind of our two main actions. So let's get into drawing some things. So right off the top here, there's the line tool at the top. You can click on that, or my preference is I like to type L, which will bring up the line on this menu right here. And I'm just going to hit enter. And what that will do is it will say specify first point. So there's a couple ways you can start your first point. The first one is I can click right here, and then to specify the end point I can click somewhere else. Once I've done that, I can hit, and I've closed out of that tool by hitting escape, I can hit spacebar to bring up the last tool that I used. So if you want to quickly cycle through without doing much, you can do that. Spacebar is going to repeat the last action you did, so if I do Control Z to get rid of that line, spacebar will remove that. You can get yourself into trouble with that one, so do watch out for that. Alright, so let's go back to here, and so let's start drawing with another way to draw the line tool. So right here I have, you can see next to the mouse it says 1 foot 1 inch, 1 foot 1 and whatever inches, 1 foot 9 and 3/8 inches. So instead of actually physically placing the cursor with the mouse, what I can do is I can type 1 foot, comma 1 foot, and hit enter. And it's going to take the mouse to, that doesn't look right. I don't know. We'll get working for it now. So it's going to place it at 1 foot 1 foot in the scale here. And then I would enter the next coordinate for where it's going to go. So if I want to go up, I would have to remember that going up would keep me on the same axis for x, so 1 foot, comma, and then the next is going to be 2 foot for the y-axis to go up 1 foot. Oh, oops, I did that wrong. Because it's going to be relative. I need to do I need to do 0 foot, comma 1 foot to go up 1 foot. So yeah, that's the one I usually don't type because it's not as much fun. So you can enter it that way where you can do the relative where you go, I would like to start at this point and then I would like to go, let's say I want to go 2 feet and 2 feet, comma, do 2 feet, comma, oops, not x, comma, 2 feet, and it'll go up that angle. The way I prefer to do it is actually, let me get rid of these, is to start drawing with a line tool. And so you would specify your first point, and then what I like to do is I like to do, say, like 1 foot, and then if you use shift and the comma key, it sets an angle. And so that thing I just mentioned a minute ago about the angle. Um, Again, for the settings that it was using, it's going to be using east, or I hope that's shown this way on the way I'm looking at the screen, so probably this way for you guys. That's going to be 0 degrees. So if I do 1 foot angle 0 degrees, it's going to go, oops, it's going to go this way 1 foot. All right. If I do 1 foot angle 90, it's going to go up because it's going counterclockwise this way. Um, yeah. So it's going counterclockwise from east being 0, and you can see with the counter that's going on the next to the mouse there, it's got specify point next, or, and then it's showing the distance and that angle. And as you can see, as I go farther counterclockwise, it's going to increase that angle. Or once you get to what would otherwise be negative, it's going to do that, which, so if I was to do 2 feet angle negative 170, actually let's do negative 90, you can see that it goes straight down. All right. So there are a couple different ways you can do that, or since you guys just did SketchUp with me, one of the easiest things to do is just have it snap off in a direction and type 2 feet. Okay. Or 1 foot 3 inches, you know, whatever it is that you need for that distance. All right. So it's pretty easy to just kind of snap it off in a direction and type. The kind of fancy notation of just going like 2 foot angle negative 90 isn't terribly important until you get into something where you're very specifically working with specific angles, which is not important for what we are doing right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's do selection. So yeah, let's do selection. Okay, so just like with Illustrator, we have 2 different ways to select. Well, we have a couple different ways. So you can left click on something. Oops, missed it. You can left click on something to select it. You can do a left to right, and you can see that it actually changes colors depending on how I'm doing it. You can do a left to right select, which will only capture things that are completely encircled, so it didn't get that horizontal line. Or you can do right to left, which will capture everything that you touch. So that's super handy when, say, you have a wall that's going on here and you just want the interior walls, you can actually select them like that. Now, AutoCAD, when you're doing selections, let's see, it's control. No, getting it backwards. Okay, yeah, it's click and click. Yeah, okay. AutoCAD's the one that's um, you just keep selecting things and it works. Hold down Shift to deselect, which is the way it always screws me up. All right, so let's get a little bit deeper into the woods here. I'll just delete this. So circle is going to be the next tool that I kind of want to highlight, and we'll go a little bit deeper in how the tools work here. So again, C on the keyboard or click on the circle button there. And then when you start using tools in AutoCAD, you'll see these lines down here in this kind of console thing right here. And what it's saying is circle, specify center point of circle, or 3 point, 2 point, or tan radius. Don't, not going to bother with those other ones. So I'm going to do, so I can do something like 2p, and this will change the mode that I'm working in. So I can do specify first endpoint, and then the outside. Okay, if I go back to circle and I do 3p, then I would do specify first point, second point, and then kind of do one of those things. All right. Each of these tools are going to have slightly different ways that you can work with them. So if I was doing, for example, the arc, there are all these different ways to actually use the arc tool. All right. I'm a huge fan. Let me think again. It was, oh, which one am I? Center, start, end, I think. Center, start, end. So with this arc tool, center, start, end. So you draw the center, the start angle, the end angle. Now you can see that in this case, it's actually drawing the opposite direction. It's going from the start right here, going around to where my mouse is. So what I can do in this case, and if you read the console down here, specify endpoint, or hold control to switch directions, I can hold down control, and it'll draw the arc from that direction, okay? Um, let's see, what are some other options we have there? Let's see. Um, Nothing in those. Let me do a rectangle. Um, before I start drawing a rectangle, for example, I can do fillet, which is going to set F, enter in that option. And what that's going to do is set a sort of a rounding bit for it. So if I say 2 inches for the fillet radius, and you can see that again next to the mouse, when I start drawing this, I now have 2-inch rounded rectangles, rectangle corners, all right? When I start drawing another rectangle, it's going to keep that value. So if I come back and draw another rectangle and I want to change that, I can do F, enter, 0, and then start drawing my rectangle, and I no longer have those, okay? Some other tools we use. So one of the things that I'm going to start using a lot of, and I'll just throw this line here, is I am a huge fan of the trim tool. Um, and it's something where I can just go trim with a couple things selected and then click on them, and you can do even a right to left select, where you just kind of circle like that. But it's really handy for getting rid of points that are in certain areas, okay? So with those simple tools, we're going to draw a floor plan real quick, using kind of the same basic rules that I had for AutoCAD. So 6-inch walls, 4.25, 4.5-inch interior walls, whichever you want, just be consistent. And then I'm going to use a polyline in this case. And so, again, we'll just do a really simple 10 by 10 room, one wall, one door, all right? So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click somewhere, doesn't matter where. And then for this, we'll say that 10 by 10 is going to be the interior space. All right. So again, the notation I like using: 10 foot, 10 foot, angle 90, and immediately some of you will probably already find out that you didn't set your units. If you're unable to zoom, like say you're trying to zoom for all your might and you're stuck in something like this where you obviously cannot see past here, you probably started drawing and then changed your units. In any case, what you can do is do Z enter for zoom settings, and then E enter, which is going to set the extents right here in the menu. And what that'll do is that'll reset the drawing extents so that you can actually zoom out, right? So if you did encounter that, that's what happened right there. So let's go back to polyline just to start again. I want to point that out because people always run into that. Alright, so I'm going to do 10 foot angle 90. I'm going to do 10 foot angle 0. Oops. 10 foot. Hold on. Either I fat fingered it. I think I fat fingered. 10 foot angle 90. Enter. 10 foot. Oh, no, I did a comma. 10 foot angle 0. 10 foot angle negative 90. Okay. Now, one of the things, because I used a polyline, I can do CL, enter, to close it. All right. So one of the advantages to using a polyline is they all come across as a single line right here. Okay. If I had drawn this manually, by just kind of locking it into a direction, 10 foot, and you don't have to follow along with this part. This is just me kind of doing this. So, kind of like the difference between groups and components in SketchUp is, if I drew this as a polyline, you can see that the little center tabs here are slightly different. You've got kind of a square here, and then this kind of thin rectangle. If I select just one part of that polyline, it's going to select the whole thing. Whereas if I select one line over here, it's just going to select that one segment. Okay. Now, believe it's group. We'll actually group them. No, that's not what we want. Oh, it's join. It's join. I think. We'll find out. Undo. Okay. So we've got, yeah, back to that. Alright, so if I do join, I now have the exact same thing as if I did that polyline. So it just depends on what order you want to do it in. And then if at any point you have a polyline that you want to not be joined anymore, you can do explode. And that will get it back down to the single line segments, okay? So, back to this. Why do we do a polyline? We have an offset tool, just like SketchUp. So I'll do offset, and that's going to be an option right here. You can see the icon as well. And it says specified offset distance. So I'm going to do 6. Again, for inches, you don't need to hit anything. You just type 6. And then it's going to go which side. So you can see as I move to either side of that line, it's going to change where it's going to place it. I'm going to place it out here. Okay? Now, the most controversial part about this is going to be how you place your walls. This is entirely up to you. This is how I prefer to do it. If you find a style that works for you better, feel free to use it. Okay? So I'm going to go down here and we're going to do a... What did I do in the other one? I think I did a 2'6". I did a 2'6" door, and that's why it was super small in the or in the SketchUp demo. So let's do a 2'8" door. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from this corner right here. And I'm just going to take this straight down. I could type that as 6 angle 90, but my snap settings are working. If yours aren't, I'm going to do a follow-up video to this about snap settings. I'm just going to draw this one little line segment right here, and then I'm going to use our move tool. So just like everything else, move tool. This is a fairly precise order of operations, so kind of follow along with me, because this is something that if you kind of do it in a little bit different order, it kind of sometimes messes up. So this is my foolproof method of doing this that is not at all patentable. All right, so I'm going to select that line segment. I'm going to do M, enter. I'm going to click, and you don't have to click on the thing that you're working with. I like to actually click away, because sometimes you'll get, you saw right there, I moved it here and it gave me kind of like a weird reference line. So I usually click like completely out away from everything else here, so now I can work out here, and that line isn't going to get blocked by anything. I'm going to go kind of far out just so that I overemphasize the direction that I'm going in. I have 6-foot walls, so I'm going to do a 6-foot frame in there. So I'm going to move it out in that direction, 6, enter. I'm going to take this line right here, and I'm going to type offset. And then again, we specify the offset distance. So this is going to be 2'8". And I'm going to click. Same thing for this wall. I think I had a 4-foot 4-foot window. And what I want to do is I want to select on there, so we're going to jump a little bit into, oops, let me see if I can get, I need to change a setting down here that ostensibly I'm going to show you guys during the other demo, but I need to do it now. So, let's see. So, I want to change my snap settings, which is going to be this little box with a triangle or with a square on the corner, and I'm looking for the midpoint. So we'll get into this this whole menu down here gets its own little demo, but this is what we're working on for right now. So let me just turn that snap setting on, and then, so got that on. Line tool, I now have a triangle here in the midpoint. I'm going to click, move it over 6 inches, and let that snap go into place. I'm going to offset this up 2 feet. I'm going to hit escape, select that again, spacebar, spacebar, and click. And then I'm just going to delete that little segment right there in the middle. And then from here, I'm going to do a trim, and I'm going to just click through, and you can see how I'm just doing a right to left select on these. often I'll see students kind of sitting there trying to click on the individual lines and sometimes missing or just losing their mind trying to do it. Just do it right to left like that, straight through the space, and you'll get it every time. All right, so that's the really super dirt simple way of doing that. And then from here, we would actually put in our window models, which gets its own demo as well. But that gets you to that. So meet you guys back here for sort of a follow-up slash prequel demo on the controls down on the bottom using this area right here.